This is going to be part 1 of Proverbs chapter 1.
Welcome to our home Bible study.
Yeah.
Why is that always your intro voice? Welcome. Well, we da-da-da-da-da.
Because I'm inviting them. I'm telling them with my voice that I'm safe.
That's your invitational voice. Hello. Welcome.
This is actually an ASMR. Oh, and let me tell you this. We have a Patreon, and we actually have 3 videos on our Patreon already. We did an hour-long video on the first chapter of James. We started a wisdom series. That's why this is Proverbs. That's why our Patreon has James. And then, plausibly, we're going to do Ecclesiastes next on our Patreon, and then Job next for YouTube. Because I got a lot to say about Job, bro.
So if you like this video, join us.
Check out the Patreon. The link is down there, and the link's also right there. Is the link over there?
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't cost a lot.
We're experimenting. We're going to keep adding stuff to the memberships too, so don't even worry. We're super grateful for those of you who are already patrons. God bless you for real. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so cool. And I know I already said this, but yeah, James. So if you want more wisdom, because that's what, honestly, bro. Proverbs chapter 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. Oh, I didn't know that. Did you know the basic meaning of the Hebrew word for proverb is comparison?
Interesting. I did not know that.
Makes sense because a lot of the proverbs are like, this guy's like that, that guy's like that.
Okay.
A wise man does this, but a fool does that.
Oh, that's interesting. That's actually really interesting. Comparison.
But it came to stand for a bunch of different things. Apparently byword, lament, a thought-provoking saying. Wisdom means skill in living. Do you have skill at life? That is wisdom.
Wisdom is the skill of living. Then I need more wisdom because I need more skill of living.
Me too.
I could use some more skill to my living.
No, me too, amen.
Which, I'm gonna be real with you, is a little bit discouraging because I've read this book many times. It's one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And yet I feel like I still need so much more skill of living. I'm just being real.
Well, I think that's why the first, 9 chapters are so good, because they're just inviting you. They're like, keep coming back to this, keep coming back to wisdom, keep seeking it like it's gold. Unfortunately, if I were to be brutally honest, a lot of the Proverbs, like I have a lot of head knowledge of, but unfortunately it's the kind of thing where like I'll screw up and I'll be like, man, it's like that proverb that I didn't follow or something like that. You know what I mean? Just
Because we read so much, I feel like my knowledge has increased a lot, but then that doesn't mean that I apply everything. Yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm applying everything that I'm reading. And I think that that's like something that like mature believers or, people who've been saved a long time, it's like can totally relate to, is like that feeling of like, oh, so many of them. But the hard part is applying them.
But if you're soaking in the word, you can't help but be edified a little. Like even if you're still failing compared to how you should be so much better, even though there are times where I mess up and I'm like, man, like I knew better than that. There are times where I'm like, oh wow, like when I was unsaved and I never read the word, like I was causing so much more folly. So it's
that's a great point. I think I'm very aware of my shortcomings because I read so much word.
That's the point. Thank you. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Not being blinded to it at all, because like maybe before I would have been in the dark about it, but I feel like I'm very aware of my shortcomings. But then at the same time, it's like when I would just not read the word at all, there was times in my 18, 19, early 20s where I would go a month or 2 months or a big section of time where I just didn't read at all, or I just didn't. I had a really tough time of growing up during that time. When I was 18, 19, 20, those were really rough times where I was saved, I was Christian, but I was having a lot of tough growing pains. I made a lot of foolish decisions, and something to definitely to note about those times was that I didn't read it as frequently as I read it now.
The second we got together, we have literally read the Bible nonstop. Like, it's straight up is like boasting in the Lord because we're so hungry for the word. How could you believe Jesus is the Messiah, and how could you believe the gospel and not be hungry for the word? And I fail all the time. I'm not perfect, but I'm hungry for the word, for real.
Well, for me, like during those phases of life, I would be so hungry, and like I would feel in my spirit that like something wasn't right, or I would start feeling like really drained in my spirit and like nasty in my spirit, like hungry spiritually, but I would just like ignore it. I would just like ignore that feeling. And then the longer you ignore it, the more dull it gets. And then the more dull you get as well, like your spirit gets really dull, and then you don't even feel the hunger pains anymore because you've gone so long. And then you just start making a lot of stupid decisions. Like you're just like more foolish. You can see that like your thoughts aren't as like pure and good, and like your actions aren't as good, and then you start making stupid decisions. And then at some point I was just like, I'm tired of living like this. And I had seen from from my actions that like, okay, when I do that, that isn't good. But when I stick with the Lord, I keep myself out of trouble, and I'm filled spiritually, and I'm not like following all these idols and stuff.
This is a great tangent to return back to Proverbs. That's the whole, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first 9 chapters, especially these opening ones, they're telling you how valuable wisdom is, and how you should be a wise man and hear these sayings and increase in learning. And it's like a prologue to all the Proverbs, like what is it called? The Proverbs proper or whatever. I think I've heard study notes refer to it as that. I don't know if it was this study Bible. It was for sure one of them. Like Proverbs proper is like 10 and onward. But then these first opening chapters, they're inviting you. They're like enticing you. Like, if you're like, come on, dude, like choose the right path. Like, look at all this great stuff that's going to happen to you if you just choose the path of wisdom.
Well, and we're not perfect now, but like we have made a lot of progress. Like I have made maybe it's discouraging to think about it like as like last month or something, but when I think about from the time I was 18,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean, I have gained wisdom from meditating on the scriptures, and also that is, like you said, part of just by reading it more.
Yeah, for me, yeah, like because I didn't start taking the Bible seriously till I was 24. But yeah, man, like if I look at 5 years ago versus today, again, I can't boast in myself or anything because I do fail a lot, but it's straight up the classic success graph, how success isn't linear, how it's like you're going to mess up, but I'm certainly, even if I'm just like 5% higher or 2% better, like I'm for sure, it's because of Jesus and his word.
And that growth is just like leading us straight to when we're in heaven and we actually are perfect, and like we are in our perfected bodies, and like we actually are like, you know, like that, all that progress in life is like leading us there to like when we're in the presence of Christ.
Right. On from Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Let me say that again. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge.
I used to read that and think like, oh, like fear. I don't want to fear God. But like when I was young, now that I've gotten like older, I realize that like, yeah, there absolutely should be a sense of reverence when you are about to do something evil.
It's reverent awe, but it is also fear. Like, yes,
because it's God.
Because it's true, because unbelievers will want to like clown it and be like, oh, you're living in fear, but it's like, nah, you don't get it. Like, it's reverent awe. But then at the same time, people can go too far into saying that it's not what it is, because it is fear, but it's like this beautiful fear. Your loving parent, your Father in heaven, and it's like that loving fear because he does know what's best for you.
Well, and also it's not the fear of doing right. It's the fear of doing wrong. Like
it's the fear of the Lord. It's like the fear of Yahweh.
True. It's kind of like this all-encompassing thing, but it's also like there's like when it's like when you're like looking up to God, like giving him his like proper dues because he's God.
And that's the beginning of knowledge. And that's what I love, because I'll always think about this sometimes when we get to the Proverbs proper, about like how off the cuff, there's a proverb where it's like, when the wicked perish, the city rejoices. Or forgive me if I butchered it, but there's a proverb that basically says that. Another one relevant to the point I'm trying to make here is that like it's abomination to fools to do right. You know what I mean? How like when a fool looks at these teachings, it's an abomination to them, and you see that so much with how like divided everybody is, and like how the people who are so contrary to Jesus and the people who are so contrary to Jesus in the Bible, it really is an abomination to them when you tell them that what they're doing is wrong. The point is, how do you clear that up? How do you interpret that? The fear of the Lord. You go to Yahweh. You want to know what's right and wrong? Read the Torah, read the prophets, read the Gospels, read all the scriptures of the Lord. And that's like how you know if what you have is actual knowledge, or if it's maybe, I don't know, off the cuff classified as like false knowledge, where it's like, because obviously we all know, and forgive my long rant here, it's about to end, but obviously we all know any zealous unbeliever, whatever type of unbeliever they are, like if they reject the gospel, but they're like zealous for whatever they believe in, like a zealous New Ager or as zealous anything, what have you, they're going to view right as abomination.
Yeah.
And the way that you avoid that is by beginning with the fear of the Lord. Forgive me if I probably could have said that better. So back to 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. Yeah, I love this, how it's like presented as, I don't know, I think it's beautiful. It's like presented in almost like this parable of you're now a part of this godly, righteous, ancient Israelite family, and they're sharing with you, you're their child, and they're sharing with you, oh, sorry, I got hair on me? Oh man.
Cat hair.
But, you know what I'm saying? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
I always took it, I mean, this is just like how my imagination was like, I always took it like you were like almost like overhearing what like a godly and wise father is like talking to his son, and you're like hearing what he's telling him.
Right.
That's like how I always like kind of pictured it. Like a fly on the wall, and you're like listening to like his instruction to his son. But like it doesn't matter how you like that kind of that sort of thing. Yeah. It's just like how my imagination like plays it out, Well, how you thought of it was really cool too, how you're saying like it's like you're you're a son or a daughter of like this way of wisdom, like this way of the Lord. Like that's cool. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, as you read it.
This is actually more intimate, so it's nice.
I've thought that. I've never like said that before, but like as I was just read it like over and over again through the years, it's like presenting it to the reader as if like you're part of this like family. Yeah, that's cool, because mine was more of like an outside thing, so now it's like it's more intimate. Yeah, because like that. But I love that how like if you live according to Proverbs, the teachings, the instruction, the law, it's going to be like an ornament of grace on your head, and like chains about your neck, like jewelry. Yeah, like I don't know what these are called. They're called like hair clippies. Like a hair clippy on your head. If they were solid gold, you know what I mean? It's way better than that. What are you talking about? No, are you kidding me? I love my hair clippies just as much as if you were to give me like a necklace or whatever. Okay, look. But it's like if they were solid gold though. Yeah, maybe if they were gold, it'd be like if we lived in a world where having hair clippies on your head was like this sign of like status and nobility and respect. Are you kidding me? That of course is like, but women didn't wear these ones at this time. Like the ancient women had really ornate, No, it's true, but this is to all. Oh, but like to further prove my point about this, whenever like Israel's like disgraced, it refers to Jerusalem like a woman. Like we're taking your nose rings, we're taking your anklets, you're getting all decked out. Like that's like your wisdom is like decking you out. So this is your apologetic defense for hair clippies? Yeah, exactly. Hair clippies. Back then it was like nose rings and stuff. CSB says they will be a garland of favor on your head and pendants around your neck. Like the crown of laurel, kind of like when you like win the Olympics. We got graceful ornament, garland of grace, crown you with grace, ornament of grace. Yeah, like wisdom is like a nice decked out crown. Garland for your head. Oh yeah, NASB, a graceful wreath to your head. Yeah, like my middle name, Lauren, like that means crowned. What is this translation? And wear their teachings as you would a lovely hat or a pretty necklace. That was my translation. But I was saying something to you and I forgot. You were saying something about hair clippies, right?
No, that was a long time ago. Oh, I was saying my middle name, Lauren, it means crown of laurel.
Oh yeah, because Lauren's synonymous with laurel, huh?
Yeah, and a crown of laurel is like the ancient, like Olympian, like crowns that they would give to the athletes. Like, you know, when Paul's like, they run for like a perishable crown. Like he's talking about that, like this like crown of laurel.
Right. No. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Sorry, forgive me. I was being too selfish because the second you defined what your name meant, I started thinking about what all my names mean.
Yeah, well, yours are biblical.
Well, because Matthew means gift from Yah, and Safnovsky means like, I don't know what that means, man.
Like she's covering her face with her paw. Like the way she's covering her face with her paw. She's in our categories box. She likes to take over boxes.
How come Beersheba's always the one that's getting the spotlight?
She always gets the spotlight because Capone's always like super secretive somewhere. You know, you should, because my mom's like, why didn't you guys include Capone? And she's right. This child needs to be appreciated too.
This is my firstborn right here. Picking up from 110. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us. You know what I should do? I should record the whole, you know how like James Earl Jones did like a whole King James Bible? Where you can like get his audiobook? I should do a very passionate King James Bible. Wouldn't that'd be freaking, I would listen to that. But for real, I think, especially with the King James, I think that's why I freaking love the King James, because when you read it, you have to like do these proper inflections to really digest the ancient English. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, walk not thou in the way with them. Refrain thy foot from their path, for their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. Ooh, let me repeat that. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, and they lay wait for their own blood. Oh my God, this is potent. And they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof.
That one is like especially like enticing or difficult when you're like young. You know, because when you're in high school or when you're like early college and stuff like that, you have so many friends. You're meeting so many new people, and like there's so many like people that are up to some foolishness and some craziness in those
I
ages.
was so foolish, man.
Yeah, people that are like bad influences or something, it doesn't mean that they're like bad all the way or not friends, but they get you into trouble. It's like someone can be like your friend or your buddy, but it's like they always are getting you into trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now that I'm like older, it's like you just don't end up like having so many friends where like you have like a lot of bad influences. You really narrow it down when you get older.
Well, especially because if you're following after Jesus, your discernment, it would just be like...
Well, you're kind of repellent to those people anyways, and then also...
Oh, yeah.
And you don't put yourself in those situations where you're meeting those kind of people, and then, like, if you're probably making friends, like, through your faith.
Also, I think the phrasing is interesting, because obviously a scoffer could mock this quickly, but I'm trying to think. So, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. For some people... that is the literal case where people are inviting you, especially like, you know.
If you have like literal thugs that are your like homies, your friends, you know, and they're like literally like, let's go rob this person's house.
But obviously that
could jump these people.
Right, but that could also apply in a softer sense to if you got people where they're up to no good in a different way. It still applies where like you think you're having all this fun, but you're really laying wait for your own blood. You're really lurking privily for your own lives.
Yeah, like you think it's gonna be fun. And it is fun at first, but then it ends up getting you into trouble. But I agree with you. It is like, there's like the really harsh definition of like literally people that are friends with like gangsters that like literally want to shoot people. But then there's also like the softer version of like people that just get you into dangerous and bad situations.
And also, when I think of like, a more modern, a more easy to understand, what is it? If sinners entice you, don't be persuaded. If they say, come with us, let us set an ambush. Yeah, dang, let's attack some innocent person just for fun. That is unfortunately what happens sometimes. Let's attack some innocent person just for fun.
You ever see like those really disturbing news stories where it's like a bunch of high schoolers like that like tormented or did some horrific thing, and you think, wow, these were just a bunch of kids and they all just like turn into these monsters.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about, like, again, the opening chapters is that like they cover it from like all these different angles. Like this is like just outright violence, you know what I mean? But
that there are people that like actually get an offer for something that serious. Yeah.
We're gonna end it there. God willing, we're gonna get better Wi-Fi soon. We'll be able to upload longer videos. But right now, thank you so much for watching part 1 of our chapter 1 of Proverbs. Be on the lookout for part 2. And yeah, it's our desire to increase our wisdom, and that's why we're gonna do this wisdom series. Again, special thank you. Really, thank you so much to those of you who are already patrons on our Patreon. Super awesome. Be on the lookout for chapter 2 of James. And then after we do James on Patreon, we're gonna do Ecclesiastes on Patreon. And you know what? If I may be so bold, have you considered becoming a patron? I guess I'm just asking you, have you considered?
We are going to be uploading lots of fun content up there, Bible studies, but also entertainment videos.
Yeah.
We're going to be pumping that thing full of content, and we would really appreciate your support. The smallest amount can mean so much to us.
And if you are so inclined, click that link.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love you.